Montreal faced off again against the Washington Capitals tonight in Game 2 of their series. Jumping ahead a little bit, I really like this game by the Canadiens, with the exception of one period. But still, it's hard to ignore the calls of more physicality from the Canadiens, with Martin St. Louis' admission that he has Arber Xhekaj as an option.
I know where you guys are just trying to get me to answer. I don't know. I have Xhekaj. It's a card. I might play him. I don't know yet.
Is it time to see Xhekaj play at home in Montreal at the Bell Center for Game 3? Let's talk about it.
Whiskey.
This is going to be kind of a fun game to recap, actually. There's a lot of different themes to this game, some that we're familiar with, some that are new, but make me optimistic about the rest of this series. Before we start recapping this game, I just want to say a thank you to everybody who's been supporting the channel. We've been getting a lot of new subscribers. Thanks for joining us, new subscribers. We have a great community here. I've got a lot of faithful members as well. I want to shout out John, Josh, Neil, Janikins, Matt, Kata, who have all been really active in the comments and active in the community. If you like my content and would like to support me, I recommend becoming a member. I do member videos. I gave my next day after the honeymoon thoughts about the Capitals' first game, and I think I might do the same for the second game. So moving on, let's talk about this game. But first, we have to do la formation de départ, formation, lineup. A couple of little changes here, and they're significant. They become significant throughout the game. Nos attaquants are forwards: Caulfield, Suzuki, Slavkovsky, Anderson, Dvorak, Gallagher, Line A, Newhook, and Armia. Heineman, Evans, and Demidov. Yeah, Demidov is down with Heineman and Evans. I kind of like this more. I don't think this is a secret, but I don't love Line A and Newhook. I'd even go as far as saying they are the least defensive line and certainly not the second most offensive line. Putting Armia on that line, I think, helps a little bit as a stopper for defense. And putting Demidov with Heineman and Evans, hopefully, would give him some artistic freedom out there. But spoilers, that doesn't come true. No défenseur or defenseman. We got Matheson, Carrier, Gouli, Hudson, Struble, and Savard. In notre gardien, our goaltender, Montembeault. All right, let's do this. The puck drops in Montreal is coming out pretty hot, spending some time in the offensive zone. We see Carrier get into the zone where it's like pretty much a 50-50 chance whether or not the shooter can get the puck in past the goalie or not. Unfortunately, he does not.
With it as two Capitals collide at center. Carrier coming in with a shot.
That's a theme for this game, unfortunately. But now we see the script is flipped. Montreal can't get it out of their zone now. The game is still physical. Bodies are being thrown around. Gouli gets dumped in back of the net. But I'm glad to say the disparity in hits were not as bad as the first game. It finished 30 hits for Capitals, 23 for Montreal. Still, Xhekaj needs to be implemented. There's a good pun here about checks and balances, but he would maintain that. The thing is, we see Anderson lay the first check for Montreal in the game, and he gets called for it. You might have a difference of opinion, but to me, this looks like a playoff check. Anderson puts Wilson into the boards. Wilson's a big boy, right? Well, he certainly doesn't look like one. Afterwards, Anderson gives Wilson a little chop to the chest. Wilson goes down like a sack of potatoes. So, for whatever reason, Anderson gets 2 penalties, and Wilson gets an embellishment penalty. I don't like that. For me, and actually the Sportsnet panel, it should have been offsetting penalties. But the thing is, I don't think that the check along the boards should have been a penalty. I don't think any of this should have even happened. On the ensuing power play, Caps, I don't think, get one shot. But this is a team that just has a horseshoe up their crack, because they do get some opportunities, and weird ones like this, where the puck goes off the board and Montembeault has to react quickly. Now we see Armia send a gift Newhook's way, but Newhook denies it. I mean, this is the perfect pass to Newhook. This one might keep him up at night, but he needs to calm down. You got to squeeze that trigger, not pull it. Habs are making Thompson look like an elite goaltender, but thing is, They're not hitting the net. They're either missing the net, fanning it, or putting the shot right on Thompson. They really need to work on their shot selection and tighten things up. First period ends 10-4 in terms of shots, but I'm willing to bet that the shot attempts were pretty close. And then we're back into the action. The puck drops in the second period. And initially, Montreal comes out like they want to respond.
Here's Gallagher spinning towards the net. They score! Christian Dvorak.
Dvorak makes it 1-0. He jammed it in. They're not all pretty goals, right? At least the work was put in. And most notably, I think the Caps looked so confused here. That's going to come back in the third period. Then immediately off the faceoff after that goal, Heineman nearly scores, and then Gouli nearly scores. These guys need more patience. This game could have easily been 3-0 for Montreal at this point. But instead, this happens.
To the net, walks out front, stopped by Montembeault, rebound.
McMichael makes it 1-1, and it's Montreal's turn to look confused in the defensive zone. Savard just looks awful here. Someone needs to be pressuring McMichael. He puts it in front, it goes off of Savard and goes in the net. So that always happens to Montreal. They'll score and then, they'll lose grip a little bit, but then they tighten up again, right?
Leonard sends it over to Beauvillier. Tight scores.
That's Dylan Strome making it 2-1 for the Capitals. Another crumbling of defensive sensibilities here by Montreal. Foolish, and a weak play by both teams, really? But the Capitals play forward and the Canadiens just don't match pace. Now Montreal is on a power play after Matt Roy cross-checked Anderson. This is the one penalty that was not called for the Caps. Laine, looking awful, trips Connor McMichael. This, even if you're a Habs fan, this should have been a penalty. And then I thought this was interesting. Dubois makes an extra play after losing his helmet. Isn't this supposed to be a penalty like every single time? I'm confused here. And we see Josh Anderson put one off of Thompson's face. I know I said that they put a lot of shots on Thompson, like directly on him, but this one had a chance if it was a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right of going in. Sneaky shot. Next, we see Dowd take a interference penalty, a blatant interference penalty. The Capitals fans are furious. They're chanting, "Refs, you suck." But this, I'm not going to say anything. Last video I said something, and the Capitals fans let me hear it in the comments. So they go on the power play, and we finally get to see the Laine one-timer.
Verlaine Hudson to Laine, shoots off the outside of it.
Yeah, that's like a 36-mile-per-hour one-time. Not exactly the one you want to see Laine pull out. He's having a miserable game. I don't know what kind of funk he's in, but I think shortly after this, he gets benched, and I don't think he comes back for the entire game. Essentially, that just puts more pressure on all of the Canadiens players. So the second period ends, a poor period for Montreal. They kind of wake up a little bit in the end there, but you wanted to see so much more from them. It's a 6-shot period, I think. So the third period starts. Jake Evans with the opportunity of a lifetime. He hasn't scored. I believe he hasn't scored since he signed his contract. He's really due for one. Wide open net. Absolutely wide open. He could have shot it either side, just had to get over Thompson, who was sprawling to make it back into the scene. But instead, he hits it off the close post. This one confuses me. You just have to put it into the net. You don't need patience. You could dust it off a little bit, take your time with it. That's a gut-wrenching punch right there. Now with Montreal continuing to play with momentum, Anderson breaks in with company and isn't able to seal the deal. Again, making Thompson look like a genius, but shot selection, guys, man. Another good opportunity, some messiness up in front. Slav falls down and gets his skate blade into Logan Thompson's arm area. We know how sharp skates are and that they can lacerate. Look what happened to Gouli. This was scary. I didn't like seeing this. Montreal is still continuing to pour it on. Caulfield gets cross-checked in the face. He's bleeding. And this action is right up front and center. There's no way that the officials did not see this happening, but there's no call. This should be a 4-minute double minor. This needs to be called every time. This is very dangerous. It would have especially made sense for the officials to call this, considering the game is winding down. Montreal pulls Montembeault. They're making a final push, and they're spending a lot of time in the O-zone. Washington can't get the puck out of their side. Slavkovsky goes down at an awkward moment. This could have really been something. Oh no. Caps clear it. There's no time left. Lane Hudson makes a desperation stretch pass. Doesn't connect. Capitals put in an empty net goal. The final is 3-1 for the Washington Capitals. Another game that could have easily been Montreal's. 14 shots that period. Washington completely breaks down in the third period. I think if you're Montreal, what you want to do is play a conservative game in the first and the second period, make Washington work, look for those opportunities, but really pour it on in the third period when they're out of gas. This, Montreal's a very young team. Washington is not a young team. This series is just going to continue to get easier and easier for Montreal, and hopefully they can figure out the Capitals in the early game and then really put the dagger in during the third period. What did I think of this game? I liked the game. Montreal had some bad breaks. They needed to put the puck in the net on all the opportunities that they had. This was another game where they were given a lot of open net opportunities where they couldn't hit the net. And to make matters worse, a lot of players couldn't play their big minutes because they looked awful out there. Line A bowed out. Savard played under 10 minutes. Heineman, Armia. This was a bad game for specific individuals, and it strains everyone else when that happens. The bench got a lot shorter, and guys had to play bigger minutes. So I'm hoping that works itself out in Montreal on Friday. I would love to see Xhekaj re-implemented into the lineup. Struble didn't have a great game. He was okay, but I hate to say this. I really hate saying this because he's one of my favorite players. There might be a delicate conversation between the coaching staff and David Savard to say, hey, what about you take just a break for one game? This isn't because you're overtly playing a bad game. It's just, man, he looks tired out there and he can't keep up with his guys and he doesn't really add anything to the offensive zone either. I just feel like Xhekaj offers a specific set of skills and pretty reliable stay-at-home foundational defensive capabilities. Just keep it simple, play back as much as you have to. He's not useless in the offensive zone either. He's got a bomb of a shot, which always seems to get through. I really think he's exactly what they need. That's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you again so much for all of your support. I'm just having so much fun with this, and I appreciate you guys so much. It really brightens my day every time I look at my YouTube profile and see, even that I have 100 more views and a couple more comments to read through. But I mean, work has been busy lately. It's running me a little bit ragged. So I wish I had more time for this. But again, if you are interested in becoming a member and getting a look at those membership videos, I'd appreciate you becoming a member. Those videos are fun, kind of dives into my thoughts about the game. So yeah, sign up. You know what you got to do. You got to like the video. It helps me out because it does something. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I'd love to have you as part of this community. And as always, I will see you down in the comments.